Welcome to an architect and a DJ build a home podcast. She's the architect.
And he's the DJ.
And if I had a song for today, it would be level 42. Lessons in Love. Look it up. Okay, before we get into today's show, on a side note, let me just let you know that this is the third time we're recording this podcast. Number 3.
Let's hope we'll get it right.
Let's hope we can get through this one. Okay, Today we're looking at unrealistic goals.
Yeah, unrealistic goals.
Yes.
And I have an example.
Okay.
It's a real life example. We've changed the names, but it is a real life example.
Real people.
Yes.
We've just changed the names.
Yes.
Just changed the names.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Muyunda, the husband, and Natasha, the wife, started a project, a building project, building their house, and they started knowing that they couldn't actually afford it.
Okay.
So they got all the information. They actually went through the process of getting professionals on it, which is a good thing. Got all the information and everything, and they were told, hey, your budget was this, but this is what this is coming up to.
So
and they just decided, yes, you can't afford it. But they said, no, we are going ahead. So they went ahead, and so definitely payments, the project has been going on. Payments have not been planned. So each time they get a little bit of money, it goes into the project. Then they've also started compromising a bit on quality. So what's happening is that they're saying that, oh, I don't have much money. So then here, how can we reduce here? Let's get less on this, compromising on the quality of labor and things like that. That's what's happening. Then Muyunda is busy. He works full time.
Okay.
So he's not able to be hands-on on the project. So he relies on Natasha to carry out the day-to-day tasks of the project, including interacting with the builders, buying material. So it's a lot of work that Natasha is being asked to do. Natasha is not a happy person. One, because she feels that the decisions that Muyunda has been making regarding the project haven't been so great.
Okay.
So there's tension between the two of them because of that. I don't think they really talk about it, but there's definitely that tension. What's been happening on the project with the team is that Natasha tries to assert her authority, and sometimes it comes to a point where the builders don't really like her input or her involvement. So there's a bit of tension with the team as well, because they're not so happy with how they're being managed or micromanaged in some cases. Where the project is at right now is that it's stalled because they don't have enough money to continue. So they're around roof level somewhere. They're ready to do the roof. So that's my very nice example, real life example.
Real life, very nice example. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, as we unpack this one, let me throw in a few things. How would you handle a case like this? And it's a case where the man is working.
Yeah.
So he's in charge of the finances.
Yeah.
And it's not in all the cases, but in cases where it's only the man who's working, or maybe it could be the wife who's working, and they're bringing the money. So they feel, hey, listen, I'm bringing the money. I will be in control of the finances. How do you advise a couple embarking on a building project to handle that aspect as well, where only one side is bringing the money, and so they might feel like, hey, since I'm the one bringing the money, I should be the one to make all the decisions. That and as well as looking at the other difficulties you and Natasha are facing on this project?
Okay, to answer your question, tough question.
Yeah.
I think a project has to be looked at in its different parts. So yes, one person can bring in the money, but then there's also other roles that are very important. So the money part is just one aspect of it, and as a couple, you have to be aware when you start of what's going to be involved and what you would need to do. So identifying, there's so many things that need to be done, like buying materials. Like now in this case, we've got interacting with the builders. If you're managing the project, you're on your own. There's coordinating builders, and the one who has the money may not have the skills to deal with people. So if you're going to be defining your worth by, I've put in the money, so I have to do everything, but then you're not very good at coordinating people, then you're going to do a disservice to your project. Okay. So I think you have to look at, okay, what are our skills? Where are our strengths, and how can we apply that to the project?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Then going back to Muyunda and Natasha's situation, there's a lot of stress here. There's a lot of stress. So one, the household, the finances, definitely there's stress there. Then you have your building team who are supposed to help you to get to where it is that you want to go. They're also being stressed, and that can lead to other issues. So it's not very ideal for your project. It doesn't help your project at all. I think also the relationship.
No, it definitely suffers. I mean, if things are not working out in the relationship between the two of you, it affects everything else. It affects how the work will be done. So
and from this particular example, there definitely appear to be transparency issues.
Yes,
and true. I don't know. Like from a professional point of view, it's easy for me to say. Yeah, it's easy for me to say this. Yeah, but
say everything.
I think
put everything on the table.
let's say for instance, like when we have a difficult situation that we're dealing with, or maybe like we argue. We argue, and
how I always come up with words of wisdom and sort out the situation.
Please. No, like you have that thing, or maybe you decide that you're not going to speak to each other. And there are many times we let those issues affect other areas of our lives, and I think that's playing out. Here
as well.
So there's that's happening in this particular situation. Then I just wanted to bring in just a technical aspect, just briefly explain like what's happening in this project is that it's a poorly defined scope. So when you have a clearly defined scope, it means that you know exactly what your project is going to produce when you're starting it.
Okay.
You know the work that will be required and who's needed in order to finish it. Then you also know the resources that you need in order to complete it. But in this case, Natasha and Muyunda went in knowing that they didn't have the money to complete the project. And ideally what should have been done is that things should have been adjusted at the drawing stage. Should have been adjusted to say, okay, we've got this amount of money, we can't afford this, so how do we adjust? But yeah, they're in this situation now, so what do they do? Yeah. And the first thing they need to do is just stop and allow a period of assessment. So you're assessing so that you can create a recovery plan. And this allows you to begin to explore options on how you can take your project forward. And in order to do this, I think you do need help from other people, advice from other people. Definitely professional input is important. Professional input to give you an objective view on, okay, what steps can you take?
Well, can you give an example, or when you say professional input, can you give an example of
So
what that looks like?
So what that could look like could be, hey, listen, we are having problems with our project, and we need help in showing us how it is that we can move on. So then the professional will probably ask you, okay, let me see, where are you? Maybe they'll visit your site, they'll look at your drawings, and then they'll be like, okay, in order for you to move on, you have this and this option. They may tell you, okay, maybe you need to scale back a bit. Maybe you can do this in phases that will allow you to do it within the resources that you have. So that sort of like opens up your mind to different options that maybe in the moment when things are going wrong, you don't clearly see.
Okay. And it's important to mention here
Yeah.
that in most cases, this professional input will come at a price. As in, it will cost you.
Yes, definitely
And it's
it will
fine.
cost you.
I say this because
It's okay.
usually when you bring the aspect of, what? I need to pay for this, most people will be like, no, I'll find another way.
I think what usually happens is that you're looking at the pain in the moment and not the value that this input will give you over the long term. So especially if your project is in trouble, it's hurting you already.
Yes.
Isn't it? Because it's in trouble, you're not moving the way you want to move. So then you think, okay, if I spend here, it's a short-term decision.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to think of it long term. And at the end of the day, it's really people's choice. But you think of it in the long term and the value that it will bring, bearing in mind that a home is a long term thing. You don't want to build a home that will last you for, you start having problems with it within 5 years. It should be like, it's a generational thing. It's going to be in your family. You don't want to now start worrying a few years down the line, it hasn't been done properly and things like that. So yeah, that would be my comment on that.
What else are we looking at?
So you could find that you're redefining your goals. So you're taking a step back and looking at, okay, what did we want to do? Is this realistic? What do we need to do to step back? If money is tight, you want to think of what's the minimum that you can accept, and what you're trying to do is just find ways of spending less money to get to where it is that you want. So maybe you could have a situation where maybe you had decided you wanted porcelain tiles everywhere, but you don't have money for the tiles. So like, okay, let's do a polished concrete floor. It's good enough for us to move in, and when we have money later for the tiles, we can then do the tiles. Yeah. It could be that you decide to do it in phases. Maybe instead of having that add-on entertainment area, you then decide that, okay, we can do this at a later stage. Let's get the basics, and then we can move forward in that way. So it's really just trying to look at the different options that you have to move forward and just coming together. I think also what could be beneficial is speaking to other couples. Speaking to other couples who are going on the same journey that you are going on, to get wisdom on.
Though
Though.
you have to be careful with who you ask, because I mean, we've seen this where somebody's building and they encounter a problem, and maybe they go online, say, hey, listen, what would you do in a situation like this? And man, we've seen like really, really bad advice.
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking about when I say like speaking to other couples who have gone on this journey. So like, say for instance, we're having a problem in our relationship, I think it's helpful for us to speak to another couple, walked through the journey that we have walked through, and are able to give us advice based on that and say, okay, here's where you are, and maybe you can consider this, this, this. So definitely not like going online and because the advice that you may, I mean, you're getting advice from people who you're not even in a relationship with. Yes, and if you don't have access to these type of people, like a couple who is building, who you know, who you can speak to, it's fine. I mean, professional help can do the same thing. But it's always easier when it's somebody who you know, somebody who you trust, someone who you can confide in. It does help when you're walking in a particular journey to connect with other people who are walking in the same journey, and also get wisdom. So definitely it does need wisdom in knowing, okay, this is a person who I can trust.
So get help.
Yes.
But even in doing that, be careful, be deliberate.
Yes, definitely.
Where you're getting that help from.
Yes,
All
most
right.
definitely. Yeah.
And that's just about it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it
So,
for today.
in summary, when it comes to unrealistic goals on a project, how would you summarize it in a sentence?
In a sentence.
Okay, in a paragraph.
Yeah, I think when you're starting, it is important to be realistic, because you don't want to put yourself under pressure. I understand we have huge dreams.
Yeah.
But I think we need to take this journey with wisdom, with knowledge. I think we need to take this journey in a way that's not going to put our homes under pressure. So when you're starting, be realistic about where it is that you are. If you're already in the situation and you find that your project is having some issues, then just stop, take some time to breathe, and to then just figure out, okay, what steps do we need to take, and get help in figuring out what the next steps should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great, and that is our show for today. I mentioned that when we started that we had recorded this podcast 3 times.
Yeah.
But amazingly, we have managed to get it.
Yes, we have.
And even though, I don't know if the mic was able to pick it, there's been a lizard in the background. They're moving around and making us, but we endure.
I think it's more you enjoyed.
Next week, we're looking at decisions. Who's making them on the project?
Yeah. An Architect and a DJ Build a Home podcast is a Home Build Zambia production, recorded and produced in Lusaka. The show is hosted by Kalenga, he's the DJ, and me, Mpangela, I'm the architect. Video recording by Sharon, music by Bless the Creative, technical support provided by Bless the Creative. You can find us on Instagram at home_build_Zambia, or on our website, homebuildzambia.com, or contact us by email, podcast@homebuildzambia.com. Thank you for listening.